this question looks a little complicated, looks like a big question. And in your PMP exam, you can expect some percentage of such kind of questions. This question is in complete alignment with PMI guidelines for PMP questions. Yeah, so don't undermine it by saying, oh, it might be out of the track. It is a good question for your preparation, like others as well. So let's look at the question. The project manager is using invest method to check the quality of three stories in the product backlog. So we have three stories. Story one, as a user, I want to be able to select upcoming Sunday using a calendar. Okay, yeah. As a frequent traveler, I want to see my reward points balance to plan the uses. Okay. Story three, as a travel agent, I want to see booking done today to project the revenue for the day. Okay. What is the evaluation result of these three stories? So in a way, out of these three stories, as per your opinion, which are the good one, or in a way follow the invest criteria? So options are pretty much like just selecting which one is good and which one is not. So A talks about story one and story two, B talks about story two and story three, C talks about story one and three, and D talks about all the stories. So basically we need to identify the stories out of these three stories which are meeting the invest criteria. I take a pause and let you pick up your choices. Okay, so I'm assuming that this word is not confusing you. So if it is, better you get ready for such kind of acronyms and other things, because they may mean very simple stuff, but if you find them first time in your exam, you may feel little anxious. So invest is a way of defining a good user story. Yeah. So you can say, oh, how do I identify this user story is good to go in a given iteration, because you want to pick it, you should be small enough and all. Yeah. So what is this invest? So I stand for independent, which means that the story should be as far as possible independent. It can be evaluated end to end by just looking at this user story. Yeah. Sometimes you may not have an independent user story, but you should always aspire to have independent user stories. Now, negotiable, N stands for negotiable, which is indicating that stories may get negotiated while the execution happening also. So like some acceptance criteria may get clarified. It's never late to fix the user story. Yeah, even if it is under ongoing development, it's never late. Yeah, we should be able to talk about it all the time. There is no bureaucracy attached to the thing which is defined in a user story. The V stands for it should be valuable to your user, your consumers. That's the part of it. It should deliver a small piece of value to a user, to a consumer. And usually when you see as a XXX, so particular person who is starting or consuming it, that person should get some value out of it. Now, EST, it should be estimatable, it should be small enough, and it should be testable. Now, the testability may only get well refined when you have acceptance criteria get added. That's the key. So just from a user story statement, you should get an idea. Is it testable or it is two-way? That's the specificity of it. Estimatable and small is also depends upon what is your definition of small. Yeah. So a set of your project team or your team which is developing it, they come together, they estimate the user story, and they need to have their definition of small, which means it should be fitting in a given iteration. Now, just by looking at these user stories, it might be very difficult to talk about estimatable, small, and all the elements, because they are very specific to a particular team. But we can identify that which one are from looking at it, which one are the good user stories. So the user story one is clearly showing some gaps. First is, it is not talking about who is this user. So it is giving a very generic definition of as a user. So usually, now you may find some content where it is still written as a user, but usually we should talk about who is that user, like a frequent traveler or a travel agent, a particular user persona or a user group. So we talk about a little bit more detail about who is this guy who is using it. And it is saying, I want to be able to select a coming Sunday using a calendar. Now, what do you do with it? How this thing is adding value to it? It's not clear. Yeah, it might be small, but the whole thing is the value and the purpose of doing this is not clear, and who is doing is also is not clear. Yeah. So it could be an independent. Yeah, it may not be independent also, because you might be selecting the calendar in order to get something done. Yeah, it's just not like that you select a calendar and Sunday and something happens. So that part is not clear in this particular user story. Story 2 and 3 are looking good to me. So as a frequent traveler, so it clarifies the who is user. I want to see my reward points. Yeah, so that's what has to be done is pretty much clear. To plan the uses. So the value delivery is I want to plan my reward point uses. So I want to log in the system and see it. Yeah. Now, it seems to be a small requirement, but the small part is difficult to predict just by looking at this particular question. But it seems to be a well testable thing, because as if I have this feature done, I should be able to do and see, can I see the reward plan points, and can I plan the uses? So this seems to be good to me. And similarly, the story 3, as a travel agent, so there is a clarity on user. I want to see booking done today. So there is a clear understanding, the bookings done. It could be like a report to project the revenue for the day. Yeah, so I want to understand what has happened, and I can calculate what is the money I'm going to get at the end of the day. So to me, the story 2 and story 3 are looking good. And I do recommend practicing a little bit more about these user stories and their formats. You do expect few questions in your PMP exam where such kind of things might get tested. So finally, talking about the choices, it's pretty clear for me that option 2, so story 2 and 3 are good. Yeah, I may not 100% agree that I can evaluate their invest, but yeah, they are good relative to whatever options are available to me, because I can't select D. All stories are not good because A is out of it. Yeah, and I can't, wherever the story 1 is there, I have to remove that particular option, and that's why I get the option B as a good option for this question.